A by-election in and of itself is not necessarily a problem for a party. It's a problem if the party is low in the polls and has lost the confidence of people. And the area
and have they?
Well, look, I'm quite a sort of a tunnel-focused politician. I've been concentrating on the environment, climate change, my whole career. That's what I'm interested in. That's why I got involved in politics.
It was better under Boris Johnson. That's what you're saying.
I think almost anyone who works in this area of the environment and climate change would say the same. It's not, I don't say that as a loyal friend of Boris Johnson. The issue is far, far bigger than any of that.
But there's now, as we move towards a general election, very obviously factionalism within the Conservative Party. There are a group of MPs vociferously saying we need to rewrite the law on net zero. Equally, another group recently formed saying, oh, no, we don't.
There is a small, and I think it is genuinely a small faction within the Conservative Party that is really deeply hostile to action on climate and the environment. But it's nothing compared to the scale.
Are they going to win?
No, I don't think they will, because they're very, very small. They're quite noisy. As you know, no slight on you, but the press like division. It's more exciting. It's more newsworthy. But if you look at the numbers, for example, of Conservative MPs who support or are members of the Conservative Environment Network, it's about 20 times bigger than any of the net zero skeptic organizations. So the Prime Minister, he's not someone who's hostile. He's definitely not in this net zero skeptic camp. He's not someone who's anti-environmental initiatives. He's just not motivated by these issues. He's not interested. They don't move him.
Given that division is clearly there, debate, division, whatever you call it,
yeah.
Are the Conservatives in any possible position to win an election?
If you look at the record over, say, the last 5 years, that there is no doubt that we can be proud of a lot of what's done. I would never pretend we've done enough. Domestically, we've got all kinds of issues that we've got to deal with that we haven't yet dealt with. One of the big issues that people are concerned about is pollution of our rivers, our waterways. There's much, much, much more to be done. There's no doubt about that.
Why did you resign and walk out? What was it?
It certainly felt to me like I was wading through ever increasingly thick mud, and it was becoming almost impossible to get things done. And I felt that I was losing arguments on some really key issues. And the biggest issue of all is our commitment, which is probably the most famous commitment the UK has made on climate change, was to double our climate finance internationally to 11.6 billion. And
right, now we'll come to that in just 1 second, because I'm bound to ask, your resignation, then, as you see, nothing to do with your criticism of the parliamentary investigation into Partygate and so forth. Nothing to do with it, really?
Nothing. Well, okay. I've got to be careful how I answer this. It's certainly I had conversations with Number 10 on the day about my inclusion in that report, and I was asked to apologise, not for what I said, but the fact that I said it, and a minister shouldn't veer off course if they want to remain a minister. And I was happy to do that. So the idea that I was sort of unhappy with the prospect of apologising is not true. I have apologised.
Do you still believe it was a kangaroo court?
I'm being dragged into something which is so trivial compared to what we're here talking about, which is climate and the environment. But since you ask, and I don't want to appear evasive, my view is that were that committee a court of law, were a jury in a normal sense, it would have been, the jury would have been sacked and replaced almost on day one. I think it's very hard to have a hearing of that sort where almost every member of the committee had expressed their view very publicly before they'd even seen the evidence. I just think there's a basic lack of fairness there.
Let's go to the 11.6 billion spending pledge. This is huge. This is a leak. Is it true? Is the government going to break its promise?
Well, yes. And this is one of the key reasons that I've stepped down, is that this is a promise, just to put it in context, it was made in 2019. And it's a promise that was made by Boris Johnson, by Liz Truss, and by Rishi Sunak on a number of occasions. And it is still the case that the government is saying that they're going to stick to that promise. But if you look at the numbers, and obviously I've looked very, very closely at the numbers, it is not possible. It is not mathematically possible for that promise to be honoured unless the government intervenes, unless the Treasury intervenes.
Is the Prime Minister mistaken when he says he stands by that pledge, or is he lying?
Yes. In effect, it is a lie, because the maths doesn't add up. So
in effect, it's a lie.
In effect, I'm not suggesting he is lying, but the effect of our policies today, the trajectory of expenditure, is that we cannot honour that pledge.
Zac Goldsmith, thanks very much indeed.
Thank you very much.